Huger Tech is an up-and-coming electric skateboard company that's looking to make a huge impact in the industry with 3 boards: the Classic, the Travel, and the Racer. Last month, I gave you guys a first look at the Classic electric skateboard. It was a budget-friendly e-skateboard with premium features. Today, I'm going to give you a look at the next board in their lineup, the Travel board. This is the Huger Tech Travel Electric Skateboard. In the box, you'll find a remote, a skate tool, a charger for the board, advanced user bushings, a micro USB cable to charge the controller, and stickers. So you might be wondering why this board is called the Travel. Well, that's because it has an estimated range of 22 miles. Now if you do find yourself needing more than 22 miles, Huger's got you covered. The Travel board has a swappable battery, and it's really easy to do. You just have to turn this knob, slide the battery cover, and remove the battery. Now let's take a look at the remote. The remote is nearly identical to the one that came with the Classic board. You have a slider to control your acceleration and brake, 2 switches in the back, one to toggle between forward and backward, and the other to toggle between beginner and normal mode. And of course, if you squeeze the trigger, it activates the horn. Since receiving the first prototype of the controller, some changes have been made. The slider has been changed and now has larger, deeper ridges. Also improved is the switches in the back. The first controller had recessed switches and were a little hard to get to, but the switches on the new controller are raised and are a lot easier to use. The final remotes that ship with the board will have an improved connection. I haven't had any problems, but in large cities like New York, there are areas called dead zones where there's a lot of signal confusion due to the dense population. If your remote does disconnect from the board, you will be alerted and the motors will disengage. Once the connection is restored, they will automatically repair and the motors will be re-engaged. This is an awesome safety feature, so thumbs up to Huger. Now let's take a closer look at the board itself. The deck is made out of Canadian maple wood, so it's nice and sturdy. For motors, the Travel board has 2 dual hub motors. This means that the motors are built into the wheel. Like the Classic, the Travel board has integrated lights. This includes headlights, tail lights, and of course braking and turning signals. A unique feature of this board is that it also has undercarriage lights. This is an awesome feature because you can never have too much light when riding at night. Now that we've taken a look at the controller and the board, let's see how it rides. The first thing I immediately noticed is how powerful the dual hub motors are. This board is crazy fast. It has a top speed of 20 miles per hour and it can get pretty scary. It's gonna take me a few rides before I can get used to that speed, so for now, I'll just keep it in beginner mode. This board does a great job with hills. I weigh 220 pounds and it can get me going. It feels pretty cool riding up a hill and it almost feels like magic.
Minds will blow.
Another feature I wanted to talk about, and definitely the most unique, is the GPS navigation on the board. On the front of the board are LED lights that form an arrow. With the GPS navigation, these arrows will point you in the direction of your destination. This is a pretty awesome feature and I don't think any other skateboard can do this. Now let's talk about the app. For all of Huger's boards, you can get stats such as your battery level, your estimated range, length of your trip, and your average speed. You can also adjust the torque of the board and the sound the horn makes. There are two features in the app that are unique to the travel board. The first is the GPS navigation. This is where you can input your destination and the app will navigate you using the arrows on the board. The second unique feature is the ability to customize your undercarriage lights. There are 7 colors to pick from and you can choose the color that best fits your style. You'll definitely get the most out of your board if you use the Huger Tech app. And now the last thing I want to talk about is the cons. Yes, there are cons and I have to address them. The first being the weight of the board. This board is pretty hefty. It weighs in at 14.5 pounds and this is due to the battery. The obvious pros of having a larger battery is the increased range. The downside is the battery is larger and heavy, so it weighs down your board. I could also be overreacting about the weight of the board because I'm used to the classic board weighing only 8 pounds. Another con that other reviewers have expressed is the wheelbase. The wheelbase for the travel isn't very wide and it's pretty close to the classic. This can be an issue because at higher speeds, you'd want as wide of a wheelbase as possible to have a more stable ride. And speaking of higher speeds, the brakes can be an issue when you're flying on this thing. The brakes are hard. If you're moving at a high speed and are not ready for the brakes, it will fly you off. So here's the good news. A lot of the issues are being addressed. Huger has been releasing updates on their Indiegogo page on the improvements that they will be making thanks to the feedback from testers. These include the widening of the wheelbase and improving the brakes. This is why Huger Tech shines as a company, because they actually listen to their reviewers. Instead of ignoring the negative comments, they address them, and they're working relentlessly to provide you, the consumer, a quality product. And there's nothing more you can ask for from a company. So, good job, Huger. So that was your look at the Huger Tech Travel Electric Skateboard. Remember, this is a prototype model and improvements will be made before the final release. So earlier, I told you that Huger Tech has 3 electric skateboards. The Classic, the Travel, and the Racer. Now I've shown you guys the Classic and the Travel, and all that's left is the Racer. So if you want an in-depth look at Huger's baddest and fastest board, be sure to check out my friend Neil's channel, Big Kids. He has a lot of knowledge when it comes to electric skateboards, so if you want to learn more about either DIY builds or name brands, you should go ahead and check out his channel. And as always, if you guys like this video, be sure to smash that thumbs up button, and if you want more content like this, don't forget to subscribe right over here. Now see you guys in the next video, and have a good one.
I should have raced him.